Assalamualaikum everyone and welcome to episode number 1 of our podcast Student Lounge. आज हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही खास मेहमान मौजूद हैं उस्मान शौकत who is an electrical engineer from Purdue University. आज हम इनसे बातें करेंगे about admissions in the US and much more, so stick around. So Usman, how are you and how are you feeling today?
Alhamdulillah, feeling good today.
Well,
What
that's
about you?
amazing. Well, it is great to have you on the show. So I have a few questions lined up for you if you don't mind me asking. So सबसे पहला मेरा आपसे सवाल ये है कि आपके ख्याल में how beneficial is a bachelor's degree from the US?
See, if you to be very honest, if you talk about the benefits, like in Pakistan or in the Middle Eastern countries. I mean, not even Middle Eastern. I'll say Pakistan and like India and so on and so forth. I'd say because after bachelor's I came back to Pakistan and I saw that there were not a lot of opportunities available. Like the diploma that you get from the USA, it's actually like treated equally
Right.
as to a diploma here in Pakistan.
Okay.
So like definitely there are benefits, but they're only benefits, like they're more benefits if you're only looking for jobs and other opportunities in the West and not in the East.
Okay, so आप basically ये कह रहे हैं कि जो graduates for example लम से निकलते हैं, they perhaps have an equal chance as someone who is a foreign graduate in Pakistan.
I'd say more actually.
More, okay.
Yeah.
और US में रहने के क्या फायदे होंगे after a bachelor's degree?
Well, see, US के अंदर जिस तरीके से चीजें काम करती हैं, right? वहाँ पे जो ट्रेंड है, it's not to get a master's after bachelor's. Like आप bachelor's करते हो और उसके बाद ज़्यादातर जो वहाँ पे आपकी thinking है और वहाँ पे ज़्यादातर जो एक ट्रेंड बना हुआ है वो ये कि you do a bachelor's degree and then you go to the job field और वहाँ पे आप जाके job करते हो. And क्योंकि उनका system इस तरह का है, तो when you get a job, so they're highly paid jobs even after bachelor's. Like आप वहाँ पे जाते हो तो typical average salary for an electrical engineer is close to like I think like 60. Like I'm talking about the minimum wage, right, per year. It's $60,000 per year, right? So आप देख सकते हो कि like if you're living in the US, right, then a bachelor's degree is more than enough to get a good job, right?
Okay.
Like you don't have to do masters. Masters are like for those जो एक certain level तक पहुंच के they want to take managerial positions या फिर
research में जाना चाहते हैं
या फिर वो research करना चाहते हैं, academic side पे जाना चाहते हैं. But if you're in the job field, तो if you're interested in the job sector, तो bachelor's is all you need, and then you learn everything at the job.
Okay, makes sense. So आपके ख्याल में हमारे जितने भी जवान हैं जो बाहर की डिग्री लेना चाहते हैं, especially from the US, in your opinion, how important is the SAT 1 and O and A level grades?
Alright, to be very honest, now that I've graduated, you realize like I think to get into college, SAT scores and O and A levels are important.
Okay.
But once you're in college, they don't really matter. Like once you're in college.
So if someone is right now applying to universities abroad, तो उस process में तो उनके लिए बहुत important हो जाएगा SAT and O level and A level grades, right? So आपके क्या scores थे, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, जब मैंने SAT लिया था, तो उस वक्त वो पुराना SAT था, तो it was out of 2400.
Okay.
So I had 2020.
Right, that's
Right.
not bad.
Yeah, and then O and A levels में, in O levels I had 6 A stars, 3 A's, and A levels में I had 4 B's and 1 C.
Okay, but I think in the US, because आपको already offer हो चुकी होती है, तो final grades are not as important, right? Okay.
Yeah, but it still feels bad. It hurts. Bro,
Right.
let me tell you something. 4 B's and a C. You know why I got that? Why I got 4 B's and not 4 A's? Because
why
my
not?
parents forced me to take further mathematics.
All right, so I guess that is the person to be, that is the thing to be blamed here. Okay.
No.
All right, so
Just kidding.
for anyone who wishes to apply abroad in 2022, what tips and tricks would you give them?
I would say, like as far as your SATs and O&A levels are concerned, I mean, you don't really have to get very, very good grades unless you want to score, like secure scholarships or something. But like,
Right.
if you have the money and you can afford it, so like just like even B's work. Try not to get C's. Stick with A's and B's. As far as an SAT score is concerned, like I'm not sure exactly. It's out of 1600 now.
Yes.
So like anything above like 1250,
Yeah, but
At
I
least
think
1250.
1400 plus would allow you.
1400 plus is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is like I'm talking about the minimum, like close
Right.
to the minimum, like
Right.
on average.
And how important do you think is the college essay when it comes to applications in the US?
I think college essay is the most important part. Like
Right.
not your scores, not your grades, because that basically tells college, the person, like whoever's reading your profile, like that tells them who you are.
Right.
And basically that's what, to be very honest, that makes the difference. Like even if you don't have good scores, but you have a very good college essay, like you can get scholarships and stuff.
Okay, so I think that's one thing that people should know right now, that the college essay is extremely important when it comes to applying in the US specifically. Okay, so my next question is slightly besides academics, and what I would like to ask you is कि क्योंकि आप खुद बाहर रहे हैं, आपने academics वहाँ की enjoy भी किया, उसके साथ साथ you have lived in the hostel. So what do you think as a Pakistani boy? What kind of challenges did you face when you were away from home, and how did you actually overcome them?
Alright,
I see that got a smile on your
No,
face. So there will definitely be some really interesting stories there.
Okay. So this question is very it's relative. It depends really on the person you're asking this question, right? Because depending on like what type of a person you are, you're going to have different. Like you're gonna face different challenges. For me, I'm like a mummy daddy. That's what we say. Like
Okay.
Mummy daddy, like that's what we used to, like that's what we call students here in Pakistan, right? Or friends. Like, oh, tu bada mummy daddy hai.
Right.
So I was very mummy daddy initially, not anymore.
Okay.
So the biggest challenge for me initially when I in first year, freshman year, was basically adjusting in the new environment because it was very different. Different in the sense that I was not with family anymore, so I had to wash my own dishes. I had to
something that a
iron my own
Pakistani boy,
clothes.
something that a Pakistani boy is definitely not used to.
Yeah. So basically, you realize that you're living like a king when you're back home,
Right.
But that's not the case anymore. The other thing is that
So how big was the cultural shock? I would say that
cultural shock. No.
Not really.
No cultural shock.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
Alright.
Cultural shock because I've been watching Hollywood, like we've been watching Hollywood movies since like childhood. So I mean, so it's not like you don't. It's like you're now seeing that stuff in real life.
Okay, I think I get your point.
Yeah.
Alright. And so ज़्यादातर लोग जो होते हैं, in my personal experience, I've seen that when it comes to living on your own, I've seen two types of people usually. एक ऐसे लोग होते हैं जो like they get very far away from their own values back at home, or I would say religious values, but then there are people who I've seen कि जब वो बाहर जाते हैं तो they get even more strongly connected with their identity as a Muslim or as a Pakistani. So what was the case for you, and why do you think this change actually occurs?
Alright, see, the thing is, like,
I guess that's a very interesting question.
that is a very interesting question. So, I'm just thinking how to phrase the answer.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
See, for me specifically, when I went there, so initially, you're like, you have this freedom. I mean, trust me, I wasn't given my first phone until I got into college.
Right.
My younger sister and my younger brother, they both had phones when I was in HSN studying in Pakistan. But I didn't have any phone, right? I was given a tablet. I was like, use this as your phone. So when I went abroad, it was kind of like I got the taste of freedom, like what freedom feels like. Like at 2 a.m. at night, like in the morning, as they say over there in the United States, I could go out and go to McDonald's, go hang out with friends, go for a walk. So I really enjoyed that freedom, right? And yes, initially when I went there, I was like, I didn't used to pray. When I didn't used to pray when I was here in Pakistan, like there were spells, like, and even in Pakistan, there were moments when I used to, like, there were months, like there was a period where I used to pray a lot, and then I left it, right? So it was on and off. But when I went to the United States, it was
generally off for the.
Generally, it was off for the first few months, but like after the first year when I came back home, right? I don't know, like I it just happened, you know. Like, I don't know how it happens, but I guess it's like maybe I'd say it's basically, you know, it's tawfiq maybe from Allah, right? It is tawfiq from Allah. It's not maybe. It is tawfiq from Allah. Like, and I'm grateful for that. You know, I mean, like, I don't see anything what caused me to change or what caused me to, you know, then come more towards Islam. I guess it was just, you know, like my parents' dua or something.
So यानी कि अगर हम इस बात का crux निकालें तो वो basically ये कि it is the freedom which actually either drags you to the more religious side or to the less religious side. So that is basically on to you.
No. So what I would say is like basically it's the freedom that takes you to the opposite side, not the religious side, the non-religious side. It's the freedom that takes you there because you've been chained in Pakistan or you've been chained at home. But I'd say that's not the case in today's like.
आजकल की generation के बारे में पता नहीं कह सकते हैं नहीं.
But now because but initially it's the freedom that takes you away, but then you realize if there's decency in you, you realize that freedom is not
worth it.
Like it's not worth it. Like it's worthless, right? It doesn't make sense. Right? This is very like you're simply wasting away life, and that's when you start coming back towards.
Makes sense. So, in your opinion, what are the opportunities that one can avail while they are studying abroad? Let's say in some university in the US. So, what can they do during those 4 years in order to ensure success after graduation?
Oh, well, there's a lot, right? So they have one thing specifically that they have is the co-op program. I mean, you can get internships and everything, you know. But so the co-op program is something that I think is very, very important because what happens is that you sign this contract with the company that you're going to do a 3-semester co-op. I mean, what basically happens is that you're signing a contract in which you say, okay, you know, I'm going to work for you after so I'm going to study the fall semester and then I'm going to come and work for you in the spring semester. Right? So you have to, I think, typically complete 3 semesters of work with the company that you sign with.
Okay.
Right? And other than that, you know, the great thing about the US is that they have a lot of these groups on campus. बहुत ज़्यादा groups हैं. And you know, those groups, they're student-made groups. And they get these projects from companies. So what happens is, you know, companies like कुछ projects हैं like company वो नहीं कर सकती तो वो क्या कहते हैं वो अपने उस projects को उन students को दे देते हैं, like in universities को दे देते हैं. तो you know, undergraduate students, graduate students, तो वहाँ पे they come up with solutions. So I mean that really looks good on your resume and stuff. So co-op internships. And then you know your extracurricular these activities like joining groups like the iOS club or the Android club, stuff like that.
Okay, so another question that I would like to ask you is कि आजकल अगर हम देखें तो it's not really about the fact कि पाकिस्तान में अच्छे institutions नहीं हैं. It's about the fact कि parents चाहते कि उनके बच्चों पे एक ठप्पा लग जाए कि ये foreign graduate है या something. So do you think that there is really a difference you know, between a person who is graduating from, let's say, LUMS or NUST and someone who is graduating from, let's say, Purdue University? Where do you think, you know, वो factor किधर आता है जो हमें push करता है कि हम अपने बच्चों को बाहर भेजें? Which I believe, if I go like 5 years or 10 years in the past, this was not something which was very common. But आजकल like everyone is going abroad and it's all about having a degree from anywhere else than Pakistan. So what is your view on that?
Well, I'd say that, you know, as far as jobs or as far as the career in Pakistan is concerned, it does not matter at all. Like if you're a LUMS graduate or you're graduating from you know, abroad, like it doesn't really matter. But as far as you know, employment opportunities are concerned after bachelor's, like once you complete the degree, then definitely if you're graduated from the US, you're in a much better position globally. But for a LUMS graduate, let's say, for example, like once you graduate here from like with a bachelor's degree, right, and you go to another program, like let's say a master's program or some other program, right, there is no difference between you and that and a foreign graduate. Like, क्योंकि एक दफ़ा आप let's say आप masters के लिए बाहर चले जाते हो, तो all you have to do is that just go abroad on like based on something like a master's degree or anything else. I don't know what it might be. Like it can be a lot of things. But once you graduate from that university, like you're basically like
You'll be part of the general pool.
you're no different. You're no different.
Okay.
Than, yeah.
So, but what about the exposure? Do you think that students over here get an equal amount of exposure as compared to someone who is, doing his bachelor's or her bachelor's from abroad?
Well, definitely not. Reason being, because especially in the USA, I mean, you get students from all around the world, right? So it's not in Pakistan. All right, I mean, you have students from Punjab, Sindh, but they're all from Pakistan, right?
Yeah,
But in the
generally,
US,
yes.
you have students from all around the world, so that the culture and the traditions that you experience, it's just way more.
Okay, so that's definitely one thing that you get over there, but you can't really experience.
But like as far as college life is concerned, like activities and stuff, it's pretty much the same thing, right? Everything's happening
Okay.
here too.
So it was great having this talk with you, and I'm pretty sure that all of our viewers would have benefited from it as well. So anything else that you would like to, conclude this episode with? Any suggestion, any advice to the youngsters who are watching this?
I would say don't worry too much. Go with the flow.
Right.
Like don't get obsessed with okay, this is what I have to do.
So be flexible, basically.
Be flexible. Just make a goal. Work for it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. Move on. But don't make it an obsession that I have to study from abroad. Because trust me, I've studied from abroad. Right? I got my bachelor's from Purdue University, and here I'm in Pakistan, and I'm currently looking for jobs. Right? And I'm applying for other master's programs too.
Yep.
So it's no big deal. Like just. Give it your best. That's what I'll say. Just work hard and leave the rest to Allah. Like that's all I'm going to say.
Definitely. So it was great having you on the show. I hope you had an equally great time as I did. And well, thank you for joining us, Usman. Wishing you all the success for your future.
Thank you.